Sally Face is now available on all platforms, and let me tell you, it's a great little game that will hook you into playing the 9 to 10 hour runtime in probably 1 or 2 sittings, thanks to its unique story and creative art styles. It's mostly a 2D scrolling platform game with some point and click elements, and there's a ton of cool animation styles, puzzles and mini games throughout that make the story even more fun and engaging. There are, however, a few things you need to know right at the start. That is if you don't want to risk missing out on any essential items or even risk having to start all over again, as this game really doesn't hold your hand and it will teach you a harsh lesson straight away if you're not paying attention. So stick around while I go through a few things you need to know before playing Sally Face. So right at the start of the game you have to play through this short dream sequence, and it's here that the game can, slightly unfairly in my opinion, punish you for not being observant. It's very easy to be drawn into the unfolding mystery, and it's not until you come across a door with a keypad that you realise something is up. How in the first few minutes of the game are we expected to know the code for a keypad? It turns out though that you can put any old code in to unlock the door, but if you do that then the keypad will be destroyed and you'll have missed an opportunity without even realising there was one. I actually played through an hour of the game before I realised I couldn't find the batteries for Sally's Gear Boy, and as it's an integral part of the first few chapters, I looked up how to find them on YouTube. The tutorials were showing that the batteries were in the groceries in the kitchen, but they weren't there in my game, and I was left scratching my head about why this was. So, did you notice the words "batteries not included" on the door with a keypad? It turns out that in order for the batteries to appear in the groceries, you have to enter the correct code into the keypad, and the only way to do this was to start a new game that would overwrite my current save. Apparently there is a way of using batteries from other items further into the game, but I felt that I was starting the game at a disadvantage and decided to cut my losses an hour in and just started all over again. But that still left the question as to how are we supposed to know the keypad code? Well, it's simply a case of looking for clues in each section of the dream, and the first one can be found after picking up the key and then opening your inventory. Closer inspection of the key shows a number 5 on it, so that's the first number of the code. The rest are not quite so obvious though, and when you come to these doors that have letters on them, you need to go through the one with a D on it and then walk all the way to the left where you'll find the number 3 drawn on the wall. The next number can be found when you walk up to the dog, and if you look up at the tree, you'll see a number 6 on one of the branches. And then the last number is craftily hidden on the wall right behind Sally. If you just move out of the way you can see the number 4 there. So the code is 5364, and when entered this time the keypad is not destroyed and the sign on the door has now changed to batteries included, which means they can now be found when you're checking the groceries. So as I mentioned, the batteries are for Sally's Gear Boy, which not only serves as a platform for the 8 mini-games you can unlock, but after being modified it's also how Sally can summon the ghosts in his apartment block, so it's a pretty important piece of kit. Finding it though will require you to be observant again, as in the beginning it's easy to fall into the trap of expecting prompts to hover over everything that you can interact with. Whilst it's true that the light switch at the start had a prompt over it, and all of the doors and neighbours do too, much of the stuff you find in the game does not give you any prompts at all. You just have to keep your eyes peeled for anything that's slightly hidden or out of the ordinary and then try and interact with it. The key under the drawer unit at the start was really the only indication that this might be the case, but that one was quite easy to spot, whereas the Gear Boy is very easy to miss when you see there's only a little bit of it peeping out from behind the TV in Sally's room. And you just need to interact with the TV unit to expose it fully. So now we have the Gear Boy and the batteries, but there's still one more thing to find before we can use it, and that is a particular game cartridge for it that's hidden somewhere in the apartment block. Now by this point in the game you will have noticed that you can take the elevator to every floor in the building except the basement, as that requires a key card. And if you want to save yourself the time it took me to double check every apartment looking for it, then all you need to do is talk to the neighbours. I know that sounds pretty obvious, as you've probably already spoken to everybody at this point, but what might not have been so obvious is the fact that you can talk to them again, and when you do, this brings up some conversation choices. So, to get the basement key, you need to go back and speak to the lady with the mop. Then all you need to do is ask her if there's anything to do for fun around here, and she'll tell you to visit her son Larry in the basement. And then she gives you the key card. So, really, anytime you find yourself wondering what to do next, it's always worth going back and talking to the neighbours, as they might be able to help you progress. So we now have access to the basement, but before you visit Larry, head to the right until you see this shelf rack and then interact with the Lost and Found box. This is where you're going to find the broken Gear Boy game, and although you won't be able to use it just yet, you will absolutely need this thing in order for the Gear Boy to react to spirits, and also so that you can unlock and play the 8 secret minigames. Here's a little tip though, should you find yourself stuck looking for anything else later in the game, then you might just want to come back and check in the Lost and Found box. And that's about it really. Now you know these few things before playing the game, you can have a much less frustrating start than I had, and hopefully it's given you a better idea of what the game expects of you in order to progress. Honestly, this game is so much fun, and it'd be a travesty if anyone gave up after its confusing start and its lack of any real tutorial at the beginning. Of course, not everybody will have had this problem and may have just worked it all out for themselves, but if, like me, you found it a bit hard to get to grips with, then I hope that this video has helped you out a bit. And if you enjoyed it, then please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers!